Good Saturday morning. Welcome to another episode, actually episode 39 of Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy. I'm your host, Tom Moore, and we'll be talking. We got predictions from Nostradamus today. We'll talk a little bit about this day in history. That's going to be towards the end if we got time. Maybe some famous folks' birthdays. The predictions for the Final Four, though, that's coming up. And we're going to talk about, of course, energy efficiency, which is the backbone of the show. So we're recording in Clovis, New Mexico at Farmers Electric Cooperative's headquarters. Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy. Rights are exclusively owned by Farmers Electric Cooperative, Clovis, New Mexico. There's a lot of Farmers Electric Cooperatives. We get calls intended for other Farmers Electric, particularly Farmers Electric out of Texas. We get a lot of those calls. And one of these days, as I approach retirement, I might start messing with those callers a little bit. But say, man, we don't even have you down as a member. You must be drinking too much of the sauce or something. No, I wouldn't do that. So I say episode 39. You know what that equates to? 39 episodes at 30 minutes apiece. That's 1,170 minutes or 19 and a half hours. It's hard to believe I've been sitting behind this microphone here for 19 and a half hours over the last few months. But it seems like just yesterday that we resurrected the show from a 5-year hiatus. We did 5 years on the radio, Saturday morning show, and it was rebroadcast on Sunday. Saturday morning show was on KCLV 99.1 here locally, and the Sunday rebroadcast was on, their AM station, 1240 AM KCLV. The stations are still around. There were three of us actually. We had Melanie Ratliff was our host. She worked for the radio. She was a DJ. And now she's over at the Fort Sumner Library, heading things up over there and doing a marvelous job, I might add. But then myself and Jason Lindsay, who's now farming and just loving life. Well, we took a 5-year hiatus, and then I thought, we could do a podcast maybe, and I could just record it at my leisure and drop it on Saturday morning at 7. So that's what we're doing. So today's April 4th, Saturday, April 4th, and the weather looks to be a little chillier than it was yesterday. I think we hit 80 yesterday, not much wind. The wind's going to be about the same today, but it's going to be cloudy and a high of about 64. And then for Sunday, Easter Sunday, or what I like to call Resurrection Day, it's going to be sunny. So kind of cool that, as it pertains to the life of Jesus, he was in the tomb. He was crucified on Friday, which is Good Friday. And then he was in the tomb for a couple of days. And on the third day, he rose and the sun came out. So you can look at it that way. Today is going to be cloudy, but tomorrow the sun comes out. Yeah, so 39 shows. You've heard of Nostradamus, right? The guy from centuries ago that made predictions. And a lot of people put stock in that. I don't, but I put stock in this guy, Nostradamus. That's me. And I'm going to talk about the Final Four real quick, NCAA men's anyway. I haven't really been paying attention to the women's. I'm sure it's very competitive, and there's a big following. But I don't follow women's college basketball, but I do follow men. I have for years. So in the semifinals, first game's today, as a matter of fact. But Illinois is playing UConn, and in the other game, Michigan is playing Arizona. So here's my prediction per Nostradamus. I've got Michigan over Illinois. I'm sorry. Let's back up. Illinois is playing UConn, and I'm picking Illinois to win. This is the semis. This is what starts today. And then I'm picking Michigan over Arizona. Okay. And then in the final game, which I believe is Monday, but this show we are taping late Friday to drop on Saturday. So when I'm saying today, I'm talking about Saturday, the 4th. So the final game, in my prediction anyway, per Nostradamus, is Michigan over Illinois. Okay. And if any of you out there picked Michigan over Illinois, and you want a tiebreaker between yourself and Nostradamus, my combined score is 163. Now, what's yours? If you're listening to this show Saturday, but well, even before the final game on Monday, shoot me a message on our Facebook page, Morning Buzz with Energy Guy, and tell me your combined score if Michigan is playing. Just give me your predictions for the Final Four, and then give me your combined score. Anyway, there you have it, folks. Michigan over Illinois. Put money on it. Not really. Don't put money on it. But maybe. Easter Sunday. That's that's tomorrow. Again, this show is airing Saturday, so that gets kind of confusing. But Easter Sunday, Resurrection Day, is Sunday. And it's amazing. I'm going to go into a little sermon here, but it'll be short, I promise you. I'm trying to think of how it's a Greek word, but it's what Jesus used to telestai. To telestai, a Greek word. That was his last word before he died. And the meaning is, it is finished. You probably all heard that. It is accomplished. It's paid in full. And again, that's famously spoken by Jesus as his final word on the cross, John 9:30. It signifies a completed action with continuing permanent results. Now let's talk about tetelestai a little bit, the Greek word. So the meaning was used in several different contexts, but look how these go together. In a business receipts context, in the ancient world, this word was written across receipts or documents indicating a bill or debt was fully paid, nothing else owed. In a judicial or courts context, it was used to indicate a sentence was fully served, not halfway, not released on good behavior, fully served, being released with no more judgment or punishment. Tetelestai. Finally, in a military context, it signifies a complete battle won or a task fully completed, often associated with total victory, like a general announcing full triumph over one's adversaries. It is a key phrase highlighting that Christ's sacrifice was complete, requiring no further efforts for salvation. Paid in full, fully accomplished, fulfilled, debt is paid in full, judgment and punishment, no more judgment and punishment, because it was fully served. To all those within earshot, tetelestai, it is finished. And that's what we're celebrating Sunday, Easter, and again, what I like to call Resurrection Day. All right. Hope you all are going to be able to make it into church somewhere. Perhaps you're not a regular churchgoer, and this is a great opportunity to go visit a church and see if you like it. Listen, if you like the music, if you like the preaching, and make sure that you're going to a Bible-believing church, and that the man behind the pulpit is holding a Bible in his hand or is resting on a altar that he's able to be reading from. So today I thought I'd talk, as far as energy efficiency goes, 11 after the hour. I think we're going to have time for this day in history. But I'd like to talk about house hunting. You may be looking for a house, whether that be a brand new house, perhaps a new home for you. Maybe your family's growing, and your old house that you're in presently is, bursting at the seams, and you are tired of bumping into people when you're trying to get into the bathroom, and you're thinking, you know what? I've worked hard. My wife has worked hard, or my husband's worked hard, and it is time for us we have a growing family, and it's time for us to find something with a little more room. Okay. Energy efficiency in looking for a home is important. And it's not just one thing, it's a combination of how the home is built, sealed, and equipped. The big idea, you want a house that keeps conditioned air in and keeps outside weather out, and doesn't waste energy doing basic tasks. I say that over and over and over. Conditioned air is expensive. We don't want outside air infiltrating your home at windows that are not well sealed, or at doors that don't have weather stripping, or cheaper single pane glass. Here's some things to look for, folks. It's a practical way to evaluate a possible new home. Number one, insulation, arguably the number one factor as far as I'm concerned. This is the foundation of efficiency. Here's what to look for. Look for good attic, wall, and floor insulation. High R value. Ask, has the insulation been upgraded? That's a great question. Another question, has there been an energy audit been done on this home? And then I would, if I were looking for a home, I might even suggest that I pay for an energy audit. If it's looking like this, this is the one this is it. And you sit down with your spouse or your significant other, and you're saying, hey, look, we're serious about this house. We've done everything but ask this. And that's a great question. Can we do an energy audit on the house to see where it stands? And if somebody was serious about selling it, and particularly if you offered to pay for it, and it wouldn't have to be, a very, expensive audit. It could be something $300 or less, just kind of a quick and dirty audit by an energy expert. But they could tell you, they could tell you about air seals and air sealing and insulation, windows and doors. Could talk about appliances, HVAC system, water heaters, orientation of the house. And that's this is a list of things we're going to go over here in a minute. Appliances and lighting. Back to insulation. Spray foam is good. Well-insulated bats are great. Peek up in the attic. What do you find up there? Do you find spray foam, which would be great? Do you find loose fill fiber? That stuff looks like snow and it's about a foot or more deep. That'd be good. Or maybe you find some cellulose. Cellulose is ground up, chewed up old newspaper, recycled newspaper. That is some good stuff. It's really dense. And it's got a high R value. And what is R value? It's resistance to heat transfer. That's what the R stands for, is resistance. So insulation reduces heat transfers, so your HVAC system doesn't have to work overtime or work as hard. Well, what's the big deal about that? Well, when it's not running, it's saving you money, right? You're not consuming energy over time, which we call kWh, kilowatt hour. That's the time factor. You got your energy factor, which is kilowatts, and then you got your time factor, hour. And you're extending the life of the HVAC system because it's not wearing out. Okay, it's like a car with low mileage. Would you rather shop for a car that's 10 years old and has 200,000 miles, or a car that's 10 years old and has 60,000 miles? I prefer shopping for a car that's got 60,000 miles. Okay, that's kind of a good comparison. Number 2, air sealing. Drafts equal money leaking out. Even a well-insulated house can waste energy if it's leaky. So check for drafts around windows and doors, outlets, particularly on exterior walls, but even interior could have drafts right up into the attic. And look at the attic access. Is it well sealed? That door that drops down and has the stairs, is it well sealed? Or maybe you don't. Maybe you have to put a ladder up, and then you've got attic access, and there's just this 2 by 2 or 2 by 3 piece of wood you have to lift up, or maybe sheetrock, and you move it over to the side so that you can skinny up that hole. And you know why they call it skinny up? Because the only way you can get through that hole is if you're skinny. So I have a difficult time getting through those since I'm not skinny. But yeah, the best ones are well sealed, and they have insulation, like glued, like bat insulation, 6 inches glued on top of it on the opposite side, on the attic side, right? Not on the living space side, but on the attic side. Otherwise, there's nothing there, and that's a place for infiltration from either cold or hot, depending on what season it is. Look for weather stripping and caulking around windows and doors. Air leaks alone can waste 5 to 30% of your energy use. 5 to 30%. I know that's a wide gap, but we want it to encompass everything, and we can't just say it's going to. Let's just say leaks alone can waste up to 30% of your energy use. How about that? Number 3, windows and doors. These are major weak points in most homes. Your preference should be double or triple pane windows, low E. Low E means they reflect heat well, so low E coatings. Energy Star rated products typically are low E, so look for the Energy Star label. Energy Star means you're going to pay for something, but in a reasonable, extra for, like a premium, but in a reasonable amount of time, you get your money back before the life of the product. That's what Energy Star means in a nutshell. You want to avoid old single pane windows, unless they've been retrofitted with some kind of storm windows. There's storm windows out there that are, powder coated paint that's going to last a long time, and it adds an extra pane, and you can do, they're functional. You can open them up and let a breeze in if you want to. Visible gaps or condensation between panes. That's a bad thing. You want to try to avoid that. And windows can account for 25 to 30% of heating and cooling energy loss. That's a lot, folks. That is a lot. By the way, we do have a cashback rebate through Farmers Electric. It's not a lot. And, new windows are expensive. I found that if you find a contractor or a handyman that knows what they're doing and they have references, that's probably the way to go. I'd like to endorse all these big window companies that spend a ton of money on advertising, but guess who's paying for that advertising? Yep, you're right. It's you. It's the consumer. But if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or your local hardware store and strike up a conversation with them about ordering windows and see what the best deal you can get. I mean, I have a house in Las Vegas, New Mexico. I mentioned it. If you listen to the show, you've heard me talk about it before. We needed about 6 new windows. Well, I went to Home Depot and they put me on the pro contractors list. I'm not a contractor, but it worked for me and worked for them at the time. And this guy helped me out. His name's Omar, Santa Fe Home Depot. And I got 6 windows, and it saved me about $1,500. I mean, it was a crazy amount of saving. I think I had $3,000 in. No, I ended up having, after the discount, I had about $2,000 in those 6 windows. Not bad. And then I paid a guy to put them in, and I paid him about $200 each to put them in. So not bad. Not bad, and he really did a great job. It's an old Adobe home, but he did the measurements. He told me what to look for. He told me what to order. And his name's Miguel. He did a great job for me. So ask around, get on social media and say, hey, I'm looking for recommendations, a guy that can install windows. And then maybe you make that trip to Home Depot in Lubbock. Maybe you go to Amarillo, Santa Fe. Maybe your local hardware store, your do-it-center will match price. I mean, if they want your business, they're gonna work hard to get it. Number 4, HVAC system, heating and cooling. Oh, and by the way, back to our windows. Sorry about that. It's 25% of material costs up to $750 cap. No labor, but so $750 the cap. And the way we come up with that number for the rebate is 25% of the material cost of the actual windows. Okay, HVAC system, heating and cooling. And by the way, we have a rebate for this too. So it's $500 for a heat pump maximum, for a conventional heat pump, 1 unit. And then mini splits also qualify, and they're $125 per ton, up to 4 tons or $500. So HVAC system, heating and cooling, this is usually the biggest energy user in your home. So you look for newer system, ideally 5 to 10 years old, high efficiency rating, SEER, seasonal energy efficiency rating, 15 plus for AC is solid. Higher the better, particularly if you're buying it, and somebody's already paid for it. I mean, maybe it's an 18 SEER, a 22 SEER, something like that. That's great. Bonus if they have a smart thermostat. We've got a rebate for smart thermostats too. I'm glad I'm going over this list because I'm telling you about the rebates as we go. For a Farmers Electric Cooperative customer, it's $75 maximum. But unless you bought it for $50, we're not going to give you $75. If you found it on sale for $50, we're going to give you $50. But if you paid $100, we'll give you $75. Make sense? Efficient HVAC systems significantly cut energy use and cost. We're going to have to pick it up a little bit, 23 after. Water heater, often overlooked as a big energy draw. Best option, tankless, on-demand systems. Those are great. If gas is your best option, but honestly, electric is good. They've improved, but you have to have like a dedicated 100 amp service. So it would include a electrical service upgrade for most people. Ask about the age and energy rating. High efficiency tank models are good too. Also, heat pump water heaters are good. They have a heat pump on top of the water tank, right? You might have a 40 or 50 gallon or an 80 gallon, but on top of it is a heat pump, and they're 300% efficient. A normal water heater, electric water heater is like 92, 94% efficient. The heat pump are 300 to 400% efficient, heat pump water heaters. Now, they're more expensive, but we have a rebate for those, and it's $500. But you may pay $1,500, but you get a third of that back through the rebate, and then you get a lot of savings over the life of the tank, which is awesome. 6 is one thing that a lot of people, number 6, orientation and design, that's free efficiency, folks. The way a house is positioned matters more than people think. South or west facing windows more naturally light and heat. That equals more natural light and heat. Sorry about that. Overhangs and trees are natural cooling in the summer. Smaller, simpler layouts, they're easier to heat and cool. So you're moving from a conventional build with an 8-foot ceiling and you're a 1,500 square foot, but you're moving into a 2,500 square foot with vaulted ceilings. Guess what? That cubic feet is doubled because of that vaulted ceiling. And it's not doubled completely, but in those particular rooms. So you have to keep that in mind when you get your electric bills. Be mindful that you are heating and cooling larger cubic footage. Larger or open homes, and that's what I just talked about, need more energy to maintain temperature. Okay, we're going to need to wrap this up pretty quick. Appliances and lighting. Easy wins, but still important. Look for Energy Star appliances. We talked about that. LED lighting. Smart home features like thermostats. LED lighting use up to 90% less energy than incandescent bulbs. They use slightly less than CFL bulbs, but their lighting quality is far superior to the CFLs. And some of them last 20 years, burning 3 hours a day. And there's every color variation from warmer 2000 degree Kelvin to cooler air, cooler light, the whiter or almost blue light, 5,000 Kelvin, everything in between. The 2,000 Kelvin is more of a warmer, like yellower hue, maybe. But look for LED lighting. Renewable energy. It could be if somebody's already paid for the solar panels, you get some long-term savings through those. EV charger, maybe they've got an EV charger like a juice box that's already installed that they've already done the electrical upgrade for. So if you decide down the road you want to get an electric car or hybrid, you can plug it in and use the level 2 charger. Well, not for the hybrid necessarily, but for an electric vehicle, all electric vehicle, and just top it off every other night and every morning, or every other morning you start out with a full tank. Do a quick walkthrough test when touring a home. Ask yourself, does it feel drafty near windows or doors? Number 2, are utility bills available? Ask. Is the attic insulated well? Poke your head up there and look. How old is the HVAC and water heater? Look at the dates. They're built into the serial numbers. If you have any question, call me. Take a picture of them. Call me. Do windows look modern? What do I mean by modern? Vinyl, white typically. Double pane, triple pane. Now, what matters most? Priority and order. This is the last thing on this, and I'll get to this day in history. If you only focus on a few things, number 1, insulation and air sealing. Number 2, windows, door quality. Number 3, HVAC efficiency. Number 4, the age of major systems. Look at those appliances too. Ask questions. It's better to ask questions. The only bad question is one never ask. Does that make sense? But everything else is secondary. Don't let emotions get in the way of making a sound decision. April 4th, this day in history. We had some birthdays, famous people. Robert Downey Jr., born in 1965. Hey, he's my age. Hey, he looks better than me. I need a personal trainer and a personal dietitian. Maybe that'll help. He's famous for Iron Man, Sherlock Holmes, and others. Heath Ledger, we lost a good one in 2008 with him. He was the Dark Knight, and he was in The Patriot. He was the son. He was Mel Gibson's son in The Patriot and A Knight's Tale. If you haven't watched A Knight's Tale, folks, you need to watch that. It is hilarious. And the more I watch it, the more is funnier a word? Funnier is a word. The funnier it gets. Craig T. Nelson. Well, let me see. Heath Ledger's born in 1979, died in 2008. Craig T. Nelson, he's born in 1944. You all know him, folks. He was the dad in Poltergeist. He was the coach on the series, the basketball series on television. He was the voice of someone in The Incredibles. I haven't watched it, so I'm not sure. And he was the dad in Parenthood, that series that was on the last few years. This day in history, major historical events. 1968, this was a sad day. Assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., civil rights leader, was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. A pivotal moment that sparked nationwide unrest. So that was a bad deal. 1968, April 4th. April 4th, 1949 was the creation of NATO. 12 nations signed the North Atlantic Treaty, forming a major military alliance. And if you're watching the news, you know some of our allies are kind of letting us down in NATO. So I know the president's mulling over some next options as far as NATO is concerned. So be mindful of that. Look into that. Form your own opinion. 1973, April 4th, was the opening of the World Trade Center. The iconic Twin Towers in New York City were officially dedicated. Of course, we all know what happened on 9/11, 2001. Those two towers came crashing down because of a terrorist attack on the United States. And how soon we forget. 1975, April 4th, founding of Microsoft, founded by Bill Gates and Paul Allen. Hey, I know Paul Allen. He used to preach at our church, but I think he's up in northern Michigan now. He's got his own church. He was actually the youth pastor at Central Baptist in Clovis. Different Paul Allen, but he's at Petoskey, I think, Petoskey, Michigan, way up by the Upper Peninsula. It's probably still cold there. It's probably 35 degrees in Petoskey today. Let's see, 1841, we're kind of going back. The death of William Henry Harrison. He became the first U.S. president to die in office, while in office. And, William Henry Harrison. 1917, the United States officially enters World War I. The Senate voted to declare war on Germany. Folks, it is 32 minutes after the hour, and thank you for tuning in to episode 39. I hope you've enjoyed it. Send me a message, send me a question, send me your predictions for the Final Four. And just a reminder, you're listening to Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy. We'll see you next week.